Good afternoon, Year 10, and welcome to the session today, which is a summary lesson on marketing. You're going to be doing a key piece of work because Section 2 on marketing is now complete. We've revised each of the subsections, and today I want you to do a key piece of work. I hope you're keeping well. If you want to make any notes, please do. On Show My Homework, I've written down the title for today's lesson, so make sure that that's in your exercise books and you can scribble down some notes during the next 10 minutes or so as I go through this particular presentation. Hopefully this will help when you do the key piece of work, and the key piece of work must be completed without anything to help you, so just pen and your exercise book and what you've learnt so far. Also, when you do that piece of work, make sure that when you read the case studies, you really understand what's going on in those case studies and you make your answers specific to those businesses and those situations. Don't make it too textbookish. Right, so Red Cup students will show good knowledge when answering questions on marketing. Amber Cup students will be able to apply their answers to the case study, so really use that case study to shape your answers and explain in a step-by-step way. Blue Cup students will be able to evaluate their points when answering questions on marketing. Okay, so quickly the subtopics in marketing. We've got the role of marketing, so won't spend much time on that, but the marketing function of a business, the people in it, their primary, their main focus is on identifying and satisfying customers' needs. So working out what do customers want next and how through the 4 Ps can we satisfy those customer needs. So that's what the marketing function does broadly. So in terms of identifying and anticipating what customers want next, that's completed through market research. So we'll talk about market research. Then to target customers in an effective way. So it's pointless promoting products to everyone if there's only a small group of customers that you're really interested in appealing to. So it's important to segment the market so it makes advertising more purposeful, and also so that the product that's designed is designed specifically to that group of people. It's going to make the product much more popular. And then finally, a big part of marketing is the 4 Ps. Get your product, price, place and promotion right, and the business will achieve its objectives quite possibly. For example, maximising sales, increasing market share, maximising profit, that kind of stuff. If a good marketing mix really helps. That doesn't mean that the business has to have a brilliant product at a really high price and have a whole range of ways of getting the product to the consumer and promoting the product with many different methods. It simply means that whatever the product is, the price and how it's distributed to the customer and how it's promoted, it should all complement itself. So we'll talk a bit more about that. So first of all, market research. So this is about identifying what customers want, and so the definition is collecting data to help businesses make decisions. You should know before you start your key piece of work that primary research is gathering data firsthand and then using that data to make decisions. So primary research methods include things like questionnaires, focus groups, interviews, and so on. So make sure you know the advantages and disadvantages of those primary methods. Primary research tends to be good in the sense that it's very up to date because it's carried out firsthand, and because it's carried out firsthand by the business, the research that's gathered can really help the business to answer questions that it needs answering. So if you take, for example, a milkshake shop and it wants to know what flavour of milkshake the people in the local area really like, if you carry out a questionnaire and you put a question that says which of these flavours would you most like to see offered in our shop, and 90% of the people that take part in the questionnaire say chocolate, for example, then that is really a purposeful piece of information that the business can then use to make sure that they offer lots of chocolate type of milkshakes. So the research is really good because what you find out can be tailored to the needs of the business and it's up to date. the in terms of secondary, what's good about secondary? Well, secondary research is second-hand research, so you kind of using information that already exists. So it's quite quick and it's quite cheap, and you can access quite a wide amount of research in this way. Typical methods include internet-based research, so Googling things, for example, getting maps up of where your local competitors are based and using that information. Perhaps from the internet you read articles about, let's stick with milkshake shops, how many people are buying milkshakes from 2020, from 2019, 2018, 2017, is the market growing and stuff like that. So secondary research, you can find out a broad spectrum of information. It's quick, it's cheap. The only problem is the source reliable, and is it up to date, and does the information really help the business to answer the questions that it needs answering? So there's a bit of market research. Market research has been conducted. The business knows what its customers want. It knows what its competitors are up to and things like that. So now it's a case of adopting market segmentation. So the vast majority of businesses will look at all of the customers that buy a particular product, and then they will split all of those customers into different groups. So market segmentation is splitting a market for a product into different groups, e.g. by age, gender, ethnicity, location, income, that kind of stuff. So specifically, what is a market segment? Well, a market segment is a group of customers with similar characteristics. So let's say, for example, Rolex watches, they will really be segmenting the market by income, and they will be very much focusing on customers with really, really high incomes, and probably in certain parts of the country like London and the southeast, or exclusive parts of London. So they may decide that they need to do most of their advertising in certain parts of the country and things like that. So really the whole point of market segmentation is that it helps you to target groups of customers, and by doing that you can, the marketing department, the marketing function can then make sure that the product satisfies the needs of that particular group of customers really well through the 4 Ps, and additionally that advertising is really targeted to that group of customers, so it's cost effective advertising or promotions. So the first, let's talk about satisfying those customer needs. So businesses need a product that's going to sell. So the 4 Ps follows on from market research and market segmentation. So the first thing about a product is to make sure that the business is selling a really sort of appealing product that's got a good image and design. So concepts like product design and product image are in the specification, so you need to look at those. And then the big concept in product is the product life cycle. So the idea is that any particular product, it has a life. Starts off by being introduced into the market when it's put on the shop shelves and things like that, and as it is introduced to the market, it appears in shops. You can see on the vertical axis that sales starts to increase, and then as word of mouth gets out, word of mouth promotion starts to generate, more and more people buy the product, and the sales start to grow at a faster rate through the growth stage, and then people start to get a little bit bored of the product, or maybe an alternative product comes out on the market from a different business. So the business the product reaches maturity. At that point, the sales for that product are being maximised, and further on in the life of the product, a decision will need to be made. Are we going to let the product sort of just lose popularity and we'll just let it sell off, and that will be following the black line down through decline, or will we try to give the product a second lease of life by extending the product's life cycle, by perhaps reducing the price of it, changing the packaging, running some adverts, some promotions, point of sale promotions and things like that. So that's the product life cycle, and you need to know what are the features, what's going on at each stage of the product life cycle. Look please at your notes and in your textbook to get more detail than I'm providing, but the key elements I've gone through there. Then you've got pricing strategy. So remember the factors that influence the price that a business sets. So a business will consider the cost of making a product before it sets its price, because if a piece of jewellery costs £5 to make, it's not going to price it, usually speaking, for £4 because it will make £1 loss on each product. So a business will consider how much it costs to make the product before it decides on its price. It will also consider the prices that its competitors are charging for the product, because if all the competitors are charging a low price and a business puts its price really high, unless the particular product in question has got a really strong unique selling point, it simply won't sell. Customers will be sensitive to price changes and it will not sell. So there's a couple of factors there that a business will consider before it sets its price. 5 different pricing strategies we need to know about. So penetration pricing, starting off with a really low price to get people buying the product, get the product and the brand to have a foothold in the market, and then over time raise the price of it. So years and years ago, Lipton Ice came out with sort of iced tea products. They were going to compete with lots of big names like Coca-Cola in the soft drink market. So they priced their products ridiculously low to get people trying the iced tea, and then over time they put the price up as people, became loyal to the product. Price skimming is the complete opposite. This works well for products that are high tech or innovative, unique. Set the price really high whilst customers swarm to it, and then as competitors start to offer similar sorts of products or catch up and offer alternatives, the price will be dropped. Competitive pricing, we've kind of touched on this a bit, so that's basically basing your prices on your competitors' prices, setting the price the same as your competitors or slightly below. Cost plus pricing, work out the cost of making the product, add a percentage, and then you arrive at your final price. So if it costs £1 to make a product and the business wanted 50% profit on the sale of that product, they would price it at £1.50, and the sum on the calculation there would be on the calculator would be £1 times 1.50 to give the extra 50%. So it would be, the price would be £1.50, and that's the price it would be sold at. The business would make 50% profit on each sale, in that case 50 pence. And then promotional pricing, this is when a business wants to clear its stock. It's maybe got some stuff sitting out the back in the store stock room, and it wants to clear its stock, it wants to sell it, so it drops the price for a short amount of time. That's a typical example of promotional pricing. But have a look at the pricing strategies and understand what sorts of situations each pricing strategy is more appropriate to. Okay, promotions. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but there are point of sale promotions. These are the sorts of promotions you see on a product when you go into the shop. So things like price reductions, buy one get one free, two for the price of one, and that kind of stuff. Being entered into competitions, you often see that on cereal boxes. When you have your morning cereal, you can just cut off a little coupon and send it off, and you get entered into a competition, that kind of thing. Product samples, that's when you are in a shop and someone asks you if you want to try a particular sample of a new product that's going to be launched, and you are involved in a sales promotion at that point. So the point of sales promotions is to make customers aware and interested in the product and create the desire in the customer to then go out and buy more products. Then we've got advertising media. So this is methods by which a business can advertise. So we've got newspaper advertising, TV advertising, radio advertising, social media advertising, sponsorship. And certainly make sure that you've looked in the textbook and at your notes of the advantages and disadvantages of advertising media. Clearly it's important that with advertising media that the right method of media is used. So for example, a small business that sells fish and chips, to put an advert on national television would not make sense at all, because it would cost a huge amount of money, and really the only people you're interested in making aware of your fish and chip shop are living in the local community. So in that instance, probably advertising in the local newspaper, for example, would be more cost effective and a better idea. Younger people tend to use social media. It's a bit of a generalisation, but businesses that are targeting younger people might promote their products through messages on social media. because that's where the younger audiences may well be looking and spend more of their time. So just make sure that you know some of the situations for which certain types of advertising media are more appropriate than others. Okay, then we've got distribution. So this is how a product moves from producer to consumer. And we've got physical distribution. This is where products are distributed using shops and offices, and there's a physical presence to the distribution of the product. There's 3 channels of physical distribution: channel 1, channel 2 and channel 3. So you should know the advantages and disadvantages of each channel of distribution. So for example, channel 3, one of the great things about selling from the producer to big wholesalers who then sell to the shops is that the wholesalers buy in huge quantities, and that means that the producers can sell large amounts of products to just and only have to deliver to a small number of wholesalers, and then the wholesalers can have the deal with the complexities of actually then selling the products on to shops. So one of the good things about channel 3 distribution is that producers can sell large quantities of products to wholesalers, and the distribution to the wholesalers should be quite straightforward. The good news as well is that the wholesalers will then distribute the products to shops all around the country of different sizes, so that's a benefit as well. However, with channel 3 distribution, the producer can't totally control which shops the products end up in and the prices that are put on the end product, and also where the products appear in the shops and things like that. So that's just a bit about channel 3. Channel 1 distribution method obviously is good because it's quick, and the profits that the producer is going to get, they don't have to be shared with other businesses like wholesalers and retailers. So if you take a farm shop selling milk directly to customers that visit the farm shop, that would be an example of producer to consumer. Sometimes if you buy a product direct from the producer online, so for example Nespresso that sell little coffee pods, if you want to buy coffee pods, you would go to the producer online, you would click and buy it. That would be channel 1, and because it's coming straight from Nespresso aren't having to share their profits with any big wholesalers or retailers. So make sure you have a look at the distribution methods for physical distribution. And then finally, digital distribution. So this is distributing the product by downloading it. Obviously that's great because it's very quick, it's accessible to the customer 24/7, but if there's any sort of issues with technological failure and so on and so forth, there are some drawbacks to digital distribution, so do have a look at those. So I've whizzed through all the theory there, and it's taken longer than I expected, so sorry about that, but this will be really helpful. Make sure that you have your notes up to date and that you give the key piece of work all of your attention. Really do pay attention to the case study and try to make your answers specific to the business. Don't make them too textbookish, and try to explain yourself in a step-by-step way. Use connective terms like because, so, therefore, moreover, those kinds of connective words that create P change. You know, they turn a point into an explanation and analysis, which is what we need to be doing. Right, that's about it from me, so good luck. I look forward to seeing your work getting uploaded. This is a key piece of work. Present it nicely and upload it please as soon as possible. Have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, bye bye.